Why, hello there. You're just in time for the reading. This is A Visit from St. Nicholas for advanced readers. 'Twas the nocturnal segment of the diurnal period preceding the annual Yuletide celebration, and throughout our place of residence, kinetic activity was not in evidence among the possessors of this potential, including that species of domestic rodent known as mus musculus. Hosiery was meticulously suspended from the forward edge of the wood-burning caloric apparatus, pursuant to our anticipatory pleasure regarding an imminent visitation from an eccentric philanthropist among whose folkloric appellations is the honorific title of St. Nicholas. The prepubescent siblings, comfortably ensconced in their respective accommodations of repose, were experiencing subconscious visual hallucinations of variegated fruit confections moving rhythmically through their cerebra. My conjugal partner and I, attired in our nocturnal cranial coverings, were about to take slumberous advantage of the hibernal darkness, when, upon the arenaceous exterior portion of the ground, there ascended such a cacophony of dissonance that I felt compelled to arise with alacrity from my place of repose for the purpose of ascertaining the precise source thereof. Hastening to the casement, I forthwith opened the barrier sealing the fenestration, noting thereupon that the lunar brilliance without, reflected as it was on the surface of a recent crystalline aqueous precipitation, might be said to rival that of the solar meridian itself, thus permitting my incredulous optical sensors to perceive a miniature airborne runner conveyance drawn by 8 diminutive specimens of the genus Rangifer, and piloted by a minuscule aged chauffeur so ebullient and nimble that it became instantly apparent to me that he was indeed our anticipated caller. With his undulate motive power traveling at what may have been more vertiginous a velocity than that of patriotic owl or predators, he vociferated loudly, expelled breath musically through contracted labia, and addressed each of the octet by his or her respected cognate. Now dasher, now dancer, et al., guiding them to the uppermost exterior level of our abode, through which structure I could readily distinguish the concatinations of each of the 32 cloven pedal extremities. As I retracted my cranium from its erstwhile location, and was performing a 180-degree pivot, our distinguished visitant achieved, with utmost celerity and via downward leap, entry by way of the smoke passage. He was clad entirely in animal pelts, soiled by the ebony residue from oxidations of carboniferous fuels which had accumulated on the walls thereof. His resemblance to a street vendor I attributed largely to the plethora of assorted playthings which he bore dorsally in a commodious cloth receptacle. His orbs were scintillant with reflected luminosity, while his submaxillary dermal indentations gave every evidence of engaging amiability. The capillaries of his molar regions and nasal appurtenance were engorged with blood, which suffused the subcutaneous layers, the former approximating the coloration of Albion's floral emblem, the latter that of the prunus avium. His amusing sub- and supralabials resembled nothing so much as a common loop knot, and their ambient hirsute facial adornment appeared like small, tabular, and columnar crystals of frozen water. Clenched firmly between his incisors was a smoking piece, whose gray fumes, forming a tenuous ellipse about his occiput, were suggestive of a decorative seasonal circlet of holly. His visage was wider than it was high, and when he waxed audibly mirthful, his corpulent abdominal region undulated in the manner of impectinated fruit syrup in a hemispherical container. Without utterance and with dispatch, he commenced filling the aforementioned hosiery with articles of merchandise extracted from his previously dorsally transported cloth receptacle. Upon completion of his task, he executed an abrupt about-face, placed a singular manual digit in lateral juxtaposition to his olfactory organ, inclined his cranium forward in a gesture of leave-taking, and forthwith effected his egress by renegotiating, in reverse, the smoke pass. He then propelled himself in a short vector onto his conveyance, directed a musical expulsion of air through his contracted oral sphincter to the antlered quadrupeds of burden. Away, boys! And proceeded to soar aloft, in a manner seen hitherto only among the seed-bearing portions of a common weed. But I overheard his parting exclamation, audible immediately prior to his vehiculation beyond the limits of visibility. Ecstatic Yuletides to the planetary constituents, and to that selfsame assemblage, my sincerest wishes for a salubriciously beneficial and gratifyingly pleasurable period between sunset and dawn.